place where you can rent offices. In the first floor, there's a spa, there's a sauna, there's an ice bath, and there's a gym. It's amazing. Second, third floor is offices that you can rent and use. And the fourth floor is the event location where we are here today in the rainy weather. I'm happy to see so many of you here. One word to the companies supporting us. WH Partners, if you have any questions about the legality of what you're doing with your cryptocurrencies while in Malta, or you want to ask on behalf of one of your friends, that's cool. Talk to WH Partners. They are the crypto lawyers of that we recommend because they understand where you come from and they understand sometimes it's difficult. And then there's the bit research. They are doing research on the blockchain and on the bits, but really what they have is they have a special insight into DeFi and some alpha. I think in the end of the month we have a presentation from one of the directors who is going to give his outlook on stablecoins, which is a very hot topic, but they're well informed and you can always go and talk to them. Good. With that said, I don't think I miss any more announcements. I promise to make it short. We are going to give the stage to Dylan. And Dylan, is everything working with the presentation? He hopes so. Again, Dylan is a special man. I was really seeing forward to it. He just came back from his holiday and told me his girlfriend was disgruntled while he was preparing this presentation. Even more to be happy that he is here with us today. Everyone, this is Dylan from MetaMask.
Hello, I'm Dylan. I'll be talking about how wallets and providers actually update and track balances and activity on chain. I'll be talking primarily how we can interact and use MetaMask. And the disclaimer, this is not financial advice, and I will be not giving any alpha, okay? And yeah, these are my thoughts, my personal opinions as a user and as an engineer of MetaMask. And these do not necessarily reflect the opinions of Consensus, which owns MetaMask. So what's the main problem in wallets and these wallets that you see on chain, okay? Behind every wallet, there's a very complex data pipelines in order for you to see the balances, the transfers, maybe the bad trades that you made or anything. But yeah, and usually Web3 lags behind TradeFi, although it's picking up quite recently. As you can see, now we can log in and create wallets with social logins and so forth, but it's still lag behind. But there's a reason for that, because there's friction and hidden mechanisms, which is not as easy as having like Revolut showing the balances or activity that you do on a bank. And as always, simplified journeys has higher adoption and growth. And that's what we try to do with our wallets. And I hope that every Web3 actually application try to make it as simple as possible for users. Today we will be talking about wallets, balances, and activity, primarily on EVM compatible chains. And before we start, how many of you raise their hands know what smart contracts are? Okay, and an API? All good. So I'll start off by showing how you see balances and activity on MetaMask. I will be sharing my wallet here, okay? I'm not rich.
We don't believe you. We have a wallet. Not yet.
Show your testnet wallet.
Show your true wallet.
Okay, I need to.
Millions, right?
Yeah, no, it's not millions, not millions. So here you can see basically this MetaMask full screen view. You can see my balance. It's not that much. It's $16. And here you see the activity. And this looks wonderful. This looks nice. It was instant. But there's a whole process just to get that data. Okay? It's not as simple as Revolut or these traditional finance applications where they have just a centralized DB They query your account, and you get these prettily displayed here. Okay. What is a crypto wallet? Okay, I'll start by that. So a crypto wallet basically is a wallet where you own and have your cryptocurrencies basically, and you can interact basically on chain. That's what a crypto wallet is. Okay. Now, MetaMask is a self-custodial wallet. What does that mean? It means that you own your private keys. So when you use like exchanges like Kraken, Binance, and all these exchanges, you don't necessarily own your private keys. What does that mean? Like they actually have the power, if they want to transfer your crypto to themselves, or if there's a hack, for example, what was it called, FTX, you can lose all this stuff. In MetaMask, it's self-custodial. You own the private keys, you own the coins, and it's all yours. Okay. Obviously, don't lose your private key because if you lose your private key, that would be a problem. Yeah. So here you can see a wallet view of MetaMask. And yeah, balances, activity, and so forth. In MetaMask, we support basically a lot of chains, mostly EVM-based chains. What does that mean, EVM-based chains? It means Ethereum virtual machine compatible chains. Basically, imagine Ethereum, the network, okay, being an engine, okay? Basically, it's the same engine but running on a different car, okay? So here you have different EVM compatible chains. For example, you have Ethereum mainnet, Linea, which is also owned by Consensus, which owns MetaMask, Binance, Arbitrum, Polygon, Base, and there's a lot of others. There's also support to Solana, if anybody uses Solana on MetaMask. Yeah, so we've seen the balance and activity tab there on the wallet. So where is the data actually coming from? It's actually coming from on-chain state, which we will be looking at eventually. So EVM chains. These are Ethereum-based chains. Again, Ethereum is the main chain, and there was a lot of like flavors. You can think of them as different flavors. For example, Binance have their own chain. It's called Binance Smart Chain. There's Base, which is a layer 2 based on EVM, based on Ethereum. And then there's networks as Solana, okay? But here primarily we'll be focusing on EVM. Solana is not an EVM-based chain, okay? So in the blockchain, primarily on these EVM chains, balances and activities are stored publicly. And they're transparent and everybody can look around. They can use a block explorer and so forth, and you can see all the data, all the balances, all the transfers, and so forth. You have smart contracts. So smart contracts, you can think of them as programs which execute in a very decentralized way, okay? You can deploy a contract, okay, and they are enforced, there's rules, and enforced within a network. So you can think of Ethereum as being a world computer, where smart contracts are programs that people are pushing to this world computer that get executed in each and every node. So in wallets, to get this data, you need to actually query what's called the execution API. So when we're talking about EVM-based chains, there's a set of rules or methods that needs to be implemented to be able to have a client particularly connected to this chain, okay? And in, for example, Ethereum, there's multiple different clients. For example, one written in one language like Rust, or the most popular, I would say, written in Go. It's called Go Ethereum or GET, okay? Again, transparency is by default, and activity on chain is basically transactions and transfers. I will be talking about the difference between the two. On the other hand, with banks, or not just necessarily banks, you can think of, even in iGaming, like having a wallet or a user. balances or activity is usually just stored in a centralized database, okay? You will have a user ID, and it's easy to fetch just, the user ID, and you fetch by user ID, you query by user ID. Then there's a single authority, obviously, which manages the ledger and updates, which in contrast with the blockchain, you have a public ledger. You have instant reconciliation though. For example, in Revolut, when you send a transfer to your friend via the same, who owns the same application, it's instant and it is instantly reconciliated. But there's limited transparency. I cannot go on the Block Explorer and just say, okay, I want to know what Ferez did yesterday. So I have no clue and cannot access that data. So yes, activity history is centralized in that way. It is easier when you're dealing with this as a developer or you want to show these balances. It's easier having this, but with the obviously you're sacrificing all the pros that comes with the EVM chains and the blockchain. Now, how do wallets talk to the blockchain? Okay, again, there's a Ethereum virtual machine. You can think of this as the engine that runs this world computer, okay, that executes this smart contract, these programs that we deploy on this world computer, and it processes transactions too, okay? Now, each and every client that connects to the network, basically, to the Ethereum network, needs to follow a certain specific APIs. APIs basically are, think of them as, for example, asking something for data and retrieving it back, okay? So eat get balance is a signature that I can call, for example, on a Ethereum client and get my native token balance, okay? That's easy. Eat call basically is calling a function in a smart contract, okay? It's a method call. Eat get logs is basically gets the transaction activity and events, and transaction, for example, by hash gets transaction details. These are few out of the many list of signatures that need to be implemented in order to have an Ethereum client, okay? Now, there is a difference between transaction and the transfer, okay? I will show you the difference here on a block explorer. Okay. So this is a block explorer basically. This what it does. It extracts all the data from the network. Particularly here, we're looking at the data for a particular transaction hash. Okay, so this is a transaction. You have a from and a to. Now the from actually called a smart contract there. You can see this small little icon showing that's a smart contract. So this is a transaction. Okay. But down there, these are the transfers, okay? So when a transaction can have multiple transfers, because usually you think, okay, I transferred USDC, for example, from my address to another address. That is a transfer, okay? That doesn't necessarily mean that that's a transaction. Here we're seeing an arbitrage move being done on-chain. Arbitrage meaning that a user finds discrepancies in prices between different decentralized exchanges and transfers between these different token pairs to make a profit. To do so, the person needs to do multiple hops, so there would be multiple transfers. So here we can see that first transfer happened on this token, IMX, okay? Then to USDC, then back to immutable X. So as you can see, that in one transaction, multiple transfers, okay? So that's this distinction between the two. A transaction can have multiple transfers, okay? And there's also two distinctions to be made, okay? A native asset, which can be transferred also, and a non-native asset. Alright. Yeah, go on.
So in that transaction,
Yeah, okay.
that's done automated, or it's everyone was programmed?
No, that's actually, so someone actually create in that particular transaction, that's an arbitrage transaction. It's an on-chain arbitrage transaction. So there's different decentralized exchanges, pools, for example, Uniswap or these kind of pools. And someone wrote a smart contract, which is pretty cunning actually, and you need to be really smart on how to write a smart contract. He found different discrepancies between if I hop from this to this, this to this, this to this, this to this, I end up with a profit. Okay. What he did is just call the smart contract. The smart contract in one transaction did all the hops for him. Okay, all those hops. Okay, if by any chance this is the good thing about arbitrage on chain. I will be not going deep in arbitrage, but if it had to be reverted, all of it will be reverted. So if, for example, he has a condition, or they made a condition in the smart contract that if I don't make this amount of profit, revert everything. The only thing you would lose is the gas, because in the Ethereum and any chain, you need to pay gas to execute something. It's only that gas, and that's it. If you had to do this in traditional finance, okay, most likely, let's say at some point the price change on between the hop, you will lose all the hops before, and you cannot revert. It cannot be atomic. Here, it's atomic. So everything either executes or reverts. So yeah.
In that previous example, what was the profit made?
I don't know about the profit, but we can check because I started off with.
And then the question is, why did he do this infinite times and can retire within one day?
There are some people who retired. I don't know who know Jared from Subway. It's a name actually. He makes millions. You can see. So this is Eigenfee. This is a website which tracks arbitrage, flash loans, and so forth. So the profit that was made about on that transaction is basically 3 cents. Yeah.
If we put $1 million in, you would have 3 cents.
Yeah, there's people who make a lot of money on this actually. If you're interested, I definitely suggest this website. So you can see like the profit leaderboard here. If it loads, you can see how many money people make of this arbitrage on chain. Mind you, it's not a simple task. It's really, really technical. You really need to make the smart contract as efficient as possible, be as fast as possible. It's not loading, sorry.
These would be the financial advisors of the future.
Of YouTube.
Financial advisors of the future.
I would say these would be, I would compare them more on these like people who do high frequency trading and so forth of the future. Yeah. These are basically doing arbitrage on chain. These make lots of money. I'm saying like millions a week. Some of them make millions a week. It's a no joke. But yeah, you need to be very smart about this, and it takes a lot of effort. So back to the basic stuff. Okay. So yeah, as we saw, you can transfer Ethereum. Ethereum is known as a native asset, okay, for an Ethereum chain. What does that mean? What does a native asset mean? It means that any execution that I make, any state change I make, or when I call a smart contract, I need to pay what's called gas, okay? So you need to pay gas, you need to pay fees, which gives incentives to people who are contributing to the consensus layer. Um, and this is paid in Ethereum, okay? So that's a native asset, and that's quite easy to fetch balance for or track activity for. However, for stuff like USDC or UNI or USDT or any other token, you have a smart contract, a program itself. And usually these are written in a standard called ERC20, which is a fungible token. For example, all your USDC or your USDT implement these kind of signatures. So these kind of functionality needs to be there to have this ERC20, these fungible tokens. Now, these are functions that you can call, okay? And some of the function emit an event or a log. For example, whenever I do a transfer of USDC or USDT, you emit an event or a notification for the front end or whoever of transfer, the from, the to, and the value. Approval for now, it's not that important, okay? So if we go on the USDT contract, you would see all these functions being implemented. It's an ERC20 fungible token. So that's the difference between the two. So here we have some example of native tokens, okay? Say, a known network, layer 1, you pay gas on Say network using Say. Ethereum, you pay gas using ETH. BNB on Binance Smart Chain, the same thing. Polygon, Avalanche, and Optimism. All of them are native assets, what we call native assets. And they are easily queryable by using this endpoint, ETH get balance. On the other hand, you have the non-native assets, which are basically contracts which USDC, UNI, USDT, Link, DAI, and Aave. Basically, these are smart contracts which represent a fungible currency. Okay, all these tables that or these meme coins, whatever. These are basically programs within the world computer. Okay. And there is a difference between the two. So I can know my balance. If I want to know my Ether balance on Ethereum, I can call that function, okay? That ETH get balance, which is easy. Here, I need to say ETH call, which means call a smart contract and pass specific parameters to get my balance. That's why the problem is not as easy as seeing your balance on Revolut or whatever.
Sorry,
Yeah, go on.
might be out of the native or non-native, but where does pump fall under?
Pump pump fall under non-native. So pump Solana, pump. Okay. So those meme coins being generated on Solana. Basically, this is EVM chain, but the same concept apply on all networks. Mind you, Solana is more structured in a way to get. Being a backend engineer or an engineer to know the activity or balances on Solana, it's easier. So anything you watch on Pump Fund, it's here, non-native, okay? So the only native currency on Solana is Sol, which is Solana, okay? Be careful. I'm joking. So now we're gonna see a demo, okay? So enough with the technical stuff, and we're gonna look at basically how to actually interact with on-chain stuff. We talked about smart contracts, non-native and native. Now we're gonna see everything at play here using MetaMask, basically. So in this on-chain activity demo, what I will be doing is buying Ethereum on ETH. So I will be buying ETH on Ethereum network, okay, via Revolut. And you will see that, okay? And I will get my money, my Ether on the Ethereum network bought on Revolut. Then I will bridge Ethereum to linear network, okay? What does bridging mean? Bridging means is that I will be moving my ETH, okay, from one network to the other. Now, Linear is a layer 2 developed by Consensus, the same company that owns MetaMask, and we will be using that to continue our demo, which includes swapping Ethereum to MetaMask USD, which is a stable coin, which is a MetaMask stable coin. And in the meantime, we will also do another swap just for the sake of it between MetaMask USD to the Linear token. And then we will revisit the balances, activity, and portfolio view. After this, I will show you what happened under the hood. So firstly, I will buy some ether. I will be buying on the Ethereum network, okay? I will be buying 15 worth of Ethereum. 15 euro. Internet is not the greatest right now, sorry.
Dylan, you're actually buying this right now with your own Revolut, right?
Yeah, I'm buying this with my own Revolut right now.
So we're witnessing a live donation to CryptoHop.
We're witnessing a live donation to my account right now, but yeah, obviously I need to confirm on my phone.
Just to moderate this a bit, this is how it looks like when you start to on-ramp, and that's what we call like when you start to get your first cryptocurrency. So he's actually demonstrating on how you get your hands on your first native ETH on the Ethereum blockchain by just using like MetaMask, the company he's working for, and Revolut.
Yeah, it's quite easy because I use Revolut, and most people in Malta use Revolut. So it's as easy as buying on ramp using Revolut. I'm confirming. Okay, I got an email, so I bought some ether. Yeah, so now we have the order ID. This might take some time, okay? Because why this might take some time? Because Revolut is a traditional finance, okay? And they have their own actually contracts here. What will happen is Revolut will execute and call their contract and saying, look, this address just bought 15 euro worth of ether. Send them this 15 euro worth of ether. So, and what will happen actually in Revolut, so they don't do this one by one. They batch, like imagine me buying or any other three people buying at the same time. They wait a bit, they batch, and they send all together. Obviously, to reduce gas fees, and that doesn't be as costly for them as it would be as doing one by one. Okay.
35 cents is the gas fee.
35 cents went to Revolut. So yeah. Yeah, it's a big fee for Revolut, but this goes to Revolut. By the way, you can do it not just using Revolut. There's other providers that you can choose of. Okay, I chose Revolut because I use Revolut, but there's MoonPay and there's other providers that you can use so you can buy crypto via your card. Maybe they will offer a smaller fee, a higher fee, and so forth. But there are different providers. Okay, not just Revolut. Okay, we have to wait a bit. No.
Is this slow because of Ethereum or is this slow because of Revolut right now?
So it's slow about.
No Ethereum, it's just internet.
So Ethereum, just for you to know, Ethereum has a block time of 12 seconds. What does that mean? Every block is produced every 12 seconds. So you cannot go higher than that, okay? If so, anything that happens will happen in that 12-second time frame. I cannot go higher than that. So I'm pretty sure that's not why it's that's low. I'm pretty sure this is happening from Revolut side. But yeah, there's always a maximum bound of 12 seconds for sure. There's no changing that. It's not as fast as Ripple, okay? But there are some layer twos which are crazy right now. I would so there's Monad if you want. It's upcoming. It's a very fast layer two. There's also what's called Mega Eat. It's a project that's coming up. It's called Mega Eat. But yeah, this is my personal opinion. When you come to these chains that do like I don't know, transaction every 10 milliseconds. I don't think that's decentralization at that point, and that's actually centralization. It's just a DB hidden under the word decentralization. This is just my own opinion, okay?
Let's not start this fight again that we had last week.
But I don't know who, any one of you heard about Hyperliquid? Okay, so Hyperliquid has a really small block time, okay, too. They make a really lot of money only by 12 employees. They're making, I don't know, like 100 millions per employee. It's crazy.
Well done.
Okay. I got my ether, okay? So that was the first part of the demo. So I got my ether, finally. I got my ether. Hopefully the following parts wouldn't be that slow because they will be done all on chain, okay? So the next part here is I'll be getting that ETH that I just bought and I will be bridging it to Linea. Linea is a layer 2, okay? A layer 2 developed by consensus. What does a layer 2 means? Basically, when we were complaining about these block times being 12 seconds and so forth, these layer 2 usually offer lower block time, okay? But they sacrifice security and sometimes decentralization, okay? Linea is a zero knowledge proof layer 2. And anyone who's interested, I suggest going on their website. They recently released their airdrop, Linea token, and I think it's a great project. So let's bridge. Not that much. Okay, that will do. So usually as a user, you won't be bridging stuff, okay? I'm just bridging stuff to show you that there is a way that from a network, from Ethereum, I can transfer my ETH to another network on Linea, okay? What happens under the hood, basically, particularly for this bridge, this Ether, this amount of Ether, is locked on the Ethereum network, okay? It's locked for a while. Then they are minted, created on this other network. Eventually, when I go back, these are removed from this network and back to the Ethereum network. That's a very simplified explanation of what bridging means. So we will be bridging Ethereum to Linea.
Wait a second. So you're gonna have ETH, like the crypto asset, on Linea.
Yeah.
And
Now,
but so it's not native anymore.
so actually, Linea, the native currency for Linea is actually Ethereum. So yeah, there will be still native between each other. So I'm transferring a native to a native currency basically here because Linea operates on Ethereum. Any gas is paid on Ethereum and so forth.
And we lose $1.
Yeah, the fee is quite high there, but you got to do what you got to do.
But wait a second, Dylan. Could you like just run like I know bridges are very complex, but I'm really curious about this one in particular because it's like the Ethereum layer 2 still you pay $1. So who does this go to? This $1. What happens exactly when you say it's getting burned on one blockchain and it appears on the other one?
Yeah, so there's these companies which offer bridges. I will be using this Coral Bridge, okay, via Squid apparently. They will take a fee for doing this service for you of locking this Ethereum and then exposing it on the other end. So that's who I'm paying right now.
Good, but this is like, my point is, this is not decentralized. This is like Coral and they're using Squid, whatever that is. Like, in this case, there's two companies and they're gonna charge you like 10% of your transaction.
Only so the company who is charging me is Coral Bridge. Yes, indeed, but they own basically a smart contract from the end to the other end. So it's still decentralized in a way, but there is a gap in between, okay? Who offers the service? By the way, if you look at it's decentralized. It doesn't mean that they don't make any money. For example, Hyperledger, you can say they're decentralized, but they are making money off these fees. Uniswap, the same. Everybody's taking some money of the service. Obviously, there's not much hops when you have this traditional finance stuff where almost some people who do nothing are getting a cut. Here are people who are just offering the service are taking a cut. I could choose a different bridge, by the way. And some networks actually have native bridges where this is reduced to the minimum. Okay?
There's also a minimum fee, so you're transferring a very small amount. If you transferred a lot more, it would still be around $1.
Yeah, most likely, yeah. I'm just transferring. So this is not a. I'm just transferring $10, and I'm be getting like 10.65 plus the fee. So yeah, I think if I transferred, let's see.
So it's not like they take 10% for you to transfer it. It's not like they're a bank.
No, they're not taking. As far as I know, Squid doesn't work that way. Let's see.
Because banks steal your money, and we know that. Okay.
I mean, they make usually banks just make interest of your money without giving you anything. At least with DeFi and all this stuff, they try their best to give you your money back. Actually, at least money back. I mean, to invest and gain interest on that stables, for example. So yeah. So as you can see, nice point, Dylan. I will get a new quote soon. I doubled basically what I was gonna transfer, but the fee stayed $1. Yeah, the Tycon me is gas, yeah. So yeah, I would be, it will change soon. Hopefully lower. They're still on gas. So I'm gonna execute.
Dylan, another stupid question. How does
Yeah.
it know the price of ETH? How does MetaMask, in this case, know the price of ETH?
Obviously, it knows the price of ETH because there's on-chain, there's price oracles and all that stuff happening. So you can actually call a price oracle, which is still decentralized, and you can get the price of ETH. For example, Chainlink, I don't know who knows about Chainlink, they offers actually price feeds in a decentralized ways. All right? Obviously, you can do it also centralized, but yeah, this is all decentralized. Yeah, and the network fee obviously is actually, that's the network fee on Ethereum. Transaction was submitted, and I should see my ETH in Linea now. Because, sorry?
So what are some benefits of using Linea instead of Ethereum?
Yeah, so one of them being, we were complaining about the block time, okay? Block time is reduced, okay? So you have that block time. Fees are minimal next to Ethereum. Actually, Ethereum did a lot of optimization recently, okay? Which reduced the fees. But before, I wouldn't even show this. I wouldn't be doing this demo with bridging and all this stuff, okay? So they offer this more scalable solution. But with layer 2s, then you will get the state. The state then is secured by Ethereum. It's pushed back to Ethereum, okay? That's how usually works. And there's multiple layers too, okay? There's base, for example, which uses what's called an optimistic rollup. Transaction fade, lovely. And in case of Linea, they use zero knowledge proofs.
Sorry, Dylan. So you're an engineer with MetaMask. What happened? Why did the transaction fail?
That I don't know. I'm a backend engineer, okay?
No, there's like, it happens. It happens to everyone when they sit at home, and often it's stressful. So here it's like what, $10. But if anybody
Yeah.
like does some serious swapping and your like transaction is pending, you're sitting there with your sweaty hands, and then it goes like transaction failed. That's it. Like some people are not sure what is happening unless they're like back-end engineers. So here we have one, and it would be really nice to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, most likely gas fees. Obviously, there's people. So when you submit a transaction, there's people fighting for the next slot of the block. Okay, the more gas you pay, the more people will pick. These validators will pick it up more faster. Okay, the more gas you pay, the faster it executes. Okay. I hope that it will go through now, okay? And again, usually as a user, you won't be bridging, okay? You won't be bridging this stuff from ETH to linear. I mean, you can, but usually you won't bridge this stuff. And I believe that give it 1 or 2 years, all this stuff will be basically hidden from you. All of this. We already, like, even if you look at MetaMask, we already have this multi-chain view, okay? Before you had to select the network you are on, and you would see, I don't know, your balances on Ethereum, or you would see your balances on Polygon. Now you have this multi-chain view. As time goes on, this will all be hidden, and you wouldn't even know that you bridged one currency to the other, okay? I'm pretty sure that's where we'll be heading in Web3. We have to, actually. Yep, so it went through. Yeah, so as you can see, I have, so I transferred some yesterday, but I have some Ether on Linea, and to refresh actually, and some Ether on Ethereum. Yeah, as you can see, the same icon, but on the bottom, I don't know if you can see it, on the bottom right of the icon, okay, you have the network icon. So I have Ethereum on Linea, I have Ethereum on Ethereum, and as you can see, I transferred between the two. I bought and transferred between the two. Now, the next step is actually swapping this Ethereum token to another token. This shouldn't be taking long, hopefully. So first I will be swapping some ETH, okay, to MetaMask stablecoin, MetaMask USD, okay?
I know what you're thinking. MetaMask is a stable coin.
Yeah, MetaMask has a stablecoin now, okay? it's on Linea, and so the stablecoin is on Linea and on Ethereum, okay, right now. So they have a stablecoin too. Stables are a big thing right now, and there's a reason for that. Again, the thing I said about interest rates and giving people money, like if you have Euro, USD sitting there in a bank, the bank, what it does is earning interest on your money, okay? Here, basically owning a stable, it could be as easy as pushing the earn click button and you start earning interest on your stables. That's why DeFi is better than TradeFi, okay? So I'll be swapping $8 worth to MetaMask USD. Okay, this was submitted, and there it is. It's as fast as lightning. So I swapped some Ether to MUSD. So basically, in MetaMask, the wallet itself, you can swap between pairs, basically. Let's say I want to buy wrapped BTC, wrapped, not BTC. It's a wrapped version which exists on the Ethereum network or in Linea's network. You can do it as easy as a click of a button on MetaMask. I will do another swap just to see it again. So I'll be swapping MetaMask USD to Linea token. $5 worth. That will give me hatching quotes.
And those quotes are again fetched with the.
Yeah, these are fetched. So what MetaMask does when you're doing swap? MetaMask doesn't own a decentralized exchange. It is an aggregator. Okay, it goes on these different decentralized exchanges and finds the best route for you. Okay, the lowest fee possible, the most best basically route for you to swap between X and B. Okay, that's what MetaMask does. Okay, here, so it doesn't own a decentralized exchange. It is checking between. Now we can see what a transaction looks like when you swap. You can see what we saw on the arbitrage, but here it's not trying to do profit. It's trying to find the best possible route for you as a user.
Yeah, but is it fetching it with its own API or with like an Oracle infrastructure in the back end?
I cannot go through. It's quite yeah. So there you have it. We went through the demo. Just one last bit before we go to Q&A. So we went through this: Revolut, Ethereum, to Ethereum Linea, to MetaMask USD, to Linea token, and we showed everything in MetaMask. Okay. So just a quick what happened under the hood. So how did we see all those activity and balances? So Revolut called its own smart contract and said transfer ETH. We called ETH get balance, okay? Decoded the transaction and so forth. Then we called another smart contract, MetaMask bridge, which we bridged Ether to Linea, okay? We called it get balance because it's a native token. Then we called the MetaMask exchange, this aggregator, which I just described, to swap ETH to MUSD. Then we called ETH get balance and ETH call because it's a smart contract. Why did we call ETH get balance? Because we paid some gas. So your native balance actually changed because you had to pay some gas. The same thing happened on the other end when we swapped from MetaMask USD to Linea. So yeah, key takeaways. Wallets don't know. They have to query nodes for your balances activity. It's not as easy as centralized finance. You should now have a clue what native and non-native, these ERC assets are and how they are tracked. You should know that a transaction now has and can have multiple transfers. It doesn't mean one transaction has one transfers. You should have a clue what EVM compatibility is, and yeah, what feels instant, apart from the bridging, really queries log and really does queries log parsing and some UI magic. Yeah, these are the reference which I used basically. Yeah, thank you, and yeah, Q&A.
We have 5 minutes time for Q&A now, so if you have any questions, just raise your hand. Maybe I start first. Dylan, you are from Malta and you live in Malta. When did you start working for MetaMask?
Yeah, I started working 3.5 years ago. Yeah. Yeah, I started as a backend engineer, and I'm still there. Primarily, I work with backend stuff, data, and so forth. This wasn't really technical, so I didn't go through the technical stuff. But there's an idea of what I do at my workday. Basically, when I tried to skip through those calling that endpoint and those APIs, but basically that's what I do at work.
Next question here. I'm just going to tell the people in the back not to talk so much during the presentation, but maybe they don't even hear me because they're busy talking. Question here, and then the next question there.
Hello.
Hiya.
Thank you for the presentation. I'm going to ask you one question which I ask everyone who's very technical in cryptocurrencies. Which blockchain is your favorite one and why?
I would say Ethereum. I mean, Ethereum it had its head start. I think it's the Ethereum Foundation. They're good people. They know where they want to go, and I still believe that's the best network. They created the first world computer. The project. So you have like this Solana, you have this Cardano, and all this stuff. This is basically my personal opinion, okay? But all the devs actually just write contracts on Ethereum. All the big companies write contract on Ethereum. So that's would be my favorite layer one. My favorite layer two would be Linea, because they give, if you see the hypothesis of Lineas, the layer two that gives back to Ethereum. It doesn't try to steal away the value from Ethereum, which Base, for example, and other L2s do.
Okay, then I have a follow-up question. Like, we just saw that one transaction in Ethereum costs you $1 or $2. That's compared to the amount you send really, really expensive. And if you do the same thing on Solana, it's 1 or 2 cents. So either Ethereum has more to offer than just transactions, or I don't understand why Ethereum should be superior here with 100 times higher gas fees.
So basically, we saw at $10, I could send thousands and still have that dollar. But yeah, if you're looking at just transaction fees, yeah, Solana has smaller transaction fees. But all these layer twos, which are being built, okay, there's the trilemma. I don't know if you know about the trilemma: decentralization, security, and availability, if I'm not mistaken. But there's this trilemma, okay? Now, Ethereum obviously provides security and decentralization. Decentralization, sorry, not availability. And these L2 are built on top of Ethereum, where they put their, so they are betting on Ethereum then to secure their state. Okay, and I think that's the way to go, and that's the way things are going, as far as I know. So you have, yeah, you have Base created their own layer 2. I think there's Sony who created their own layer 2. There's people creating layer 2, which all feeds back to Ethereum. So they are betting actually on Ethereum. I'm not saying Solana is a bad project, okay, by any means, but that Ethereum would be my favorite, in my opinion. And all the devs, all these high big companies and fintech, all the stuff, most of them use Ethereum or a layer 2, which is based on Ethereum when they're building stuff. Yeah, that's the way it is. I think that's why I would choose Ethereum as the best network.
Next question here.
Hi, thanks for presentation. So my question is, do you know what's the main revenue streams for MetaMask and how much they do in total?
I don't know. No, I cannot go into this detail. Okay, I'm representing myself here. Okay.
So one of the main
This is
revenue
confidential
streams.
information, and this is basic. I'm representing myself and my opinions here. Okay, I'm not representing the company, and I think even if I represented the company, that wouldn't be something that. It's a private company, by the way, so it's not public. If it were public, you could go check.
All right. One of the main revenue streams is actually the swaps. So every swap you do is like 0.875 they take from each swap. Another one would be on-ramp and off-ramp. It's definitely millions, tens of millions, but how much? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know, but I heard that some information. I think if you go on Dune, this is public information. You can see the stuff. I cannot dive into any numbers, but go on Dune. If you know Dune, it's a provider which provides on-chain data and on-chain charts and dashboards. I think you can find something there. Okay, and you can find even comparison with other wallets. Okay.
Another question, can you put your money back to Revolut from MetaMask?
Yeah, I think I can. I never did.
How much would left?
I don't know. I don't know. Usually I just put money in and they never come out.
Yeah. Okay, are there any questions left? We have time for one last question. Up with the hand. Otherwise, we are going to wrap it. And just to the defense of MetaMask, in the demo, it was clearly visible that there was a small fee that goes to MetaMask for the swaps that we're doing. So it was all discounted and accounted for. And if you really want to know how much they make, go to Dune or build like a tool because it's all on the blockchain. So it's very transparent.
Yeah, you can build it. Actually, the data's transparent here. I can actually build a program just to see how many Uniswap is making, how many, because data is all available. Now decoding it and making information.
Last closing question here, and then we're going to wrap it.
Difficult.
Just final question. We are talking about bridging between one blockchain to basically another blockchain.
Yeah.
And so, for people who are new to this, can we talk about 3 different entities which are participating in the same transaction, and each of them will be a separate entity, I'm asking this question so you know beforehand, in case that some of them fail, it means that you have locked your tokens on one side of the other.
Yeah, yeah. So if you if you're going on Stargate, which is
I'm asking your opinion because people will not go there. They will just hear us talking here and they will understand what we are talking. They will not go and do their own research, most probably.
So I didn't understand. So the question is, if they get locked on somewhere and the transaction fails on the other end.
No, I'm saying, for example, if the bridge fails, what is going to happen with the tokens?
Supposedly it reverts. Depends where it failed.
No, I'm saying like the tokens are already bridged on the other layer, on the other blockchain. Basically, that's how we called it. It's another blockchain. What if the blockchain? What if the bridge fails? What is going to happen?
I don't actually. I cannot understand. I cannot actually answer the question.
So
I don't know.
Okay, so let's take it simple. You have it, and you have linear, and you have a bridge in between them.
Yeah.
I'm transferring 10 euros, 10 ETH from ETH to linear, and tomorrow the bridge fails. What is going to happen with my 10 ETH? Can I bridge them back?
Yeah, you can bridge them back. Once they're bridged, you can bridge them back. Now, if I understand the question, what happens if they are locked somewhere and somehow I didn't manage to unlock or mint them on the other end? Okay, and that I cannot answer. I'm not an expert in bridge, so if you give me like some 10 minutes after the meetup, I can actually.
It takes like 10 seconds, and once it's done, you have the token.
No, once it's done, once it's locked from the other end.
You have the tokens on the other blockchain.
Yes.
But
fails, you still have the tokens on that blockchain, and you can use it.
on the other one, and you will not be able to bring them back.
You can.
Because they
no,
are locked in that bridge. I'm telling you from experience. That's why I'm asking.
I think there, like when you use Stargate and all this stuff, there is some disclaimers, okay? There's some stuff that can happen, okay? Bridging is not as easy when it's actually not natively supported, and there's these companies and there's these third parties in place. It's not as it's not atomic. What I was thinking, what I was describing with the arbitrage, it's atomic. Either it goes through or it fails. There's no other way. Okay. With bridging, it's different because we're talking with different. But I'm not no bridging expert, so.
That was my point, and that's why I wanted everybody to understand that once they bridge, and if the bridge fails, then it's up to them.
Yeah, that I don't know how different bridges operates, but most of them have a disclaimer on this.
And that is because bridges are very dangerous. If you want to transfer your money from one blockchain to another, you should use a decentralized solution like CCIP, because they are decentralized and they have a double like safety net where it cannot get stuck. Because if it gets stuck, it's stuck in whoever owns the bridge's pocket. Yeah, exactly. That's a good one. Okay, we are going to talk about oracles and new bridges in 2 weeks. Next week, we are going to talk about cybersecurity, Web3 security, with DDoP. They're going to do a token security analysis here with us. Thank you very much, Dylan. We're going to stick at the bar. See you next week.